Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dackman Productions and welcome to Conrail. So we have a special celebration video. Once again, we are celebrating April 1st, 1976, because that was the time period that Conrail was formed. Now, when Congress decided that they were going to get into railroading and they announced this Conrail project, and people were like laughing because they thought it was an April Fool's joke. Only when April 1st came, they didn't laugh anymore because they found out it was for real. So why was Conrail formed in the first place? There was a whole bunch of disgruntled people out there. Oh, they took over my railroad. They killed it. They did this. They took the tracks away from us and this and that. So let me explain this in a way that I'm sure everybody will understand. Most, if not, I would say 90% of the railroads on the East Coast were failing in bankruptcy. And that would have been a huge problem because if all these railroads failed and they stopped bringing us products, there would have been a horrible supply chain issue, and nobody would have anything out here on the East Coast because you cannot. It is not possible to bring everything by truck. It would have been a total chaos. Yeah, it would have been bad. So the government knew this, and Conrail was formed with the idea in mind. It would be a temporary company that would be formed once it was brought back out of bankruptcy and it became profit making again. They would offer it back to the private sector, so it was never intended as a permanent solution to begin with. It was intended as getting our railroads back on the right track on the East Coast again. If that was not done, we would have had a lot of issues. So after the takeover, yeah, Conrail had to make some tough decisions, especially when you had two rival, railroads like New York Central and Pennsylvania, who became Penn Central, which was one of the biggest culprits to needing Conrail in the first place. Well, they had duplicate trackage going to the same place. And when they formed Penn Central and got together, do you think they would have, hey, let's go ahead and get rid of some of this duplicate trackage to save money? No, they didn't do that. That's why they failed. They didn't do any consolidation. They did not get rid of any people. They didn't consolidate no people, no nothing. They just kept everything. And they fell into failure. And it didn't take long for Penn Central because they were formed in 1968 and bankrupt by 76. And not only that, they duped their stockholders into thinking that they were successful when they really weren't. So the stockholders got a complete shock when the paper was the stock paper, the Penn Central stock, the paper was worth more than the stock itself. But at any rate, so it was very important that, this was to happen. And Penn Central was not the only one. There was many failing railroads. The Jersey Central claimed bankruptcy back in 68. Reading, as Walt Herbine would say, the most richest railroad company, had claimed bankruptcy. Most of it was from mismanagement, but there was one, I believe it was the Lehigh Valley, that fell into bankruptcy because some kind of hurricane or tornado came along and tore up a whole bunch of stuff, and, well, they just didn't have the funds to fix it. So, but yeah, there were several railroads that were involved in this. So, many of you may know what railroads were involved in this bankruptcy or this takeover. Maybe most of you don't. So I have a sign that lists all the railroads and its subsidiaries that were taken over by Conrail. So let me read them to you. So here is a sign that was created by a company or somebody with all the names of the railroads that Conrail had taken over. And ironically, they used a Norfolk Southern heritage unit instead of a real Conrail locomotive. So if you guys are going to create Conrail stuff, don't use the Norfolk Southern heritage unit. Use a real Conrail locomotive. But at any rate, so I'm going to go ahead and read these off to you guys. New York and Long Branch Railroad, the Pennsylvania Monongahela Railway, New York, New Haven, and Hartford, Ithaca and Owega Railroad, Central Railroad of New Jersey, Reading Company, Erie Railroad, Lehigh Valley, Detroit Terminal Railroad, Delaware, Lehigh, Schuylkill, and Susquehanna, Long Branch and Bernadette Bay, Lehigh and Susquehanna Railroad. Wait, okay, that's a hard one. Wawayanda Railroad, Ann Arbor, Orange County, New York Connecting Railroad, New York and Long Branch Extension, Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western, Raritan River, Lehigh and Hudson River, Ironton Railroad, Erie, Lackawanna, Warwick Valley, New York Central, Southeastern and Phillipsburg, Pequest and Wallkill, Long Branch and Seagirt, New Egypt and Farmingdale, Mine Hill, and Penn Central. So there you go. There's your long list of all the railroads that were taken over by Conrail. For those who are not familiar, New Haven was part of the Penn Central merger, so I'm sure that's why they didn't name New Haven on there, but New Haven was taken over by Conrail as well. Conrail did get involved with passenger service, but that was short-lived, and they quickly wanted to hand that off to the private sector. By 1999, Conrail became very successful, and the government put it up for sale. It was split between CSX and Norfolk Southern. But here's the kicker. This is something that I've been trying to tell the viewers and the fans and the people out there, that Conrail really didn't disappear. There was places where the Conrail tracks could not be split correctly. So it became shared by CSX and Norfolk Southern. So they decided to call this Conrail Shared Assets. Conrail Shared Assets still operates today. But here's the other thing you guys did not probably realize. In actuality, Conrail Shared Assets, the name is like a facade. It's a name that is only said, but you never see it printed or a sign. So let me explain. One of my viewers at the Allentown Train Show came up to me and said, "Dak, man, I see what you're saying. I couldn't believe what I was seeing." I said, "Well, tell me about it." He says, "I was rail fanning and I saw a railroad signal and it said, call this number, and it said Conrail on it, the blue sign that you guys normally see." I'm like, yeah. A lot of trackage is still under the Conrail name, both in North Jersey and in the Philadelphia area. Matter of fact, in the Philadelphia area, there's tracks and bridges that are still owned and maintained by Conrail. And he said, on top of that, he saw trucks with the Conrail name on it. He said, these are not old trucks. These are like new trucks. And they're still using the Conrail logo. I'm like, absolutely. They're not using the Conrail Shared Asset logo. They are actually still using the original Conrail can opener logo and the original Conrail name. So I have a friend who works for, well, supposedly, but he does. He works up north and works for Conrail Shared Assets. And this is how I came up with the name Conrail Shared Assets is a facade. And I asked him point blank, it says, anywhere on your paycheck, on your building, on your uniforms, does it say Conrail Shared Assets? And he said no. The building name still says Conrail and it has the Conrail original canopy logo. His paycheck says Conrail on it, not Conrail Shared Asset Operations. And the shirts that they give out for the crew says Team Conrail on it, not Conrail Shared Asset Operations. So what gives here? So without being able to verify this, but I have my theory. So when the government sold Conrail and split it up between CSX and Norfolk Southern and then decided to create Conrail Shared Assets, okay, Conrail Shared Assets became a facade name, but since the government no longer owned it, but they gave them the rights to use the name and reporting marks of Conrail. So CSX uses the NYC reporting mark. Anytime you see a piece of freight equipment that has the NYC reporting mark, that's an old ex-Conrail piece of equipment. Norfolk Southern was able to retain the original CR, or Conrail reporting mark. And what's neat about this whole thing is that even though Conrail is not government owned anymore, they still have the rights to use the Conrail logos and the can opener logo. And since both Norfolk Southern and CSX share the same Conrail logos and name, is why they call it Conrail Shared Assets, although you won't see that name on anything other than a piece of paper. It's not on the building. It's not on their trucks. It's not on the railroad signs. It's not on their paycheck. It's not on their uniforms. The only thing that's on all this stuff is the name Conrail, not Conrail Shared Assets. So, but I'm sure it's a technical thing because since it's under different ownership, they just made up a name, Conrail Shared Asset Operations, even though it's a figment of air, I guess how you could call it. But I found that with my friend who works for Conrail Shared Assets, which is really truly Conrail, had said, but it was kind of cool to find all this out and to have a rail fan verify. Yeah, the rail fans are looking for this. So if you're in the North Jersey area or in the Philadelphia area, pay attention. You'll see what I'm talking about and have been saying all this time. The bottom line is Conrail didn't go anywhere. It's still around. It's just that they don't have any equipment, freight equipment, like locomotives or cars. All they have now, all Conrail is now basically is a company that does have Conrail trucks, which maintains the track and the bridges and the signals and all that stuff, so that they do own trucks but they don't own trains. And the trains, as far as the locomotives, are leased from Norfolk Southern, CSX. The other thing is that reason why they keep Conrail shared assets around, or actually it's really Conrail, is because Norfolk Southern and CSX no longer want to do end deliveries. All they want to do is take the freight from one yard to the other and have somebody else do the deliveries, which is why short lines are on the rise. So if you've been paying attention to railroading, if you read Railroaders magazine, you'll see that short lines are popping up all over the place. And that's because they are the ones doing the end deliveries. So Norfolk Southern and CSX have these short lines do deliveries for them. And it's no different than Conrail shared assets. Conrail shared assets, actually Conrail, is a end delivery service for CSX and Norfolk Southern. That I did verify. So, what was it like to work for Conrail April 1st, 1976? Let's find out. Poof! So here we are, April 1st, 1976. Conrail was formed. I'm hired. I'm ready to go to work for Conrail. So we had the Conrail quality hat, hard hat. This is for real. That is a real Conrail quality hat, verified from a ex-Conrail engineer I talked to and showed him the hat. I said, yep, that is a real Conrail quality hat. With the reflectors, you got the Conrail vest here. This is a Conrail Starlight lantern. This would have been used for if you're working on a freight car. You put this next to the track and nobody is allowed to move the cars. There's not supposed to be any traffic moving on the track, and nobody is allowed to move this except for the person who put it there. So this is like a safety thing. So when they see this light on the track, nothing moves there. No cars are moved until this light is out and gone. And then, of course, I have, these are actual real Conrail safety glasses. And for a 1976 theme, well, I decided to, leave a little bit of the 1976 mustache going on in there. But at any rate, so here we are, working for Conrail, 1976, April 1st. Everybody thought it was a Fool's Day joke, because April 1st is Fool's Day, but it ended up being for real. And Conrail became the second largest railroad in America, and very successful one at that. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and visit Conrail Enola Diesel Terminal. So let's go. Welcome to Conrail Enola Diesel Terminal. And when I ran across the picture of the real Conrail Enola Diesel Terminal, I was super impressed. And I ran across that picture in 2017, so ever since then, I've been doing a Conrail celebration on April 1st every year since then. And I show off my collection of Conrail locomotives. And we'll go through these on a quick side because they've all been on video. So these three right here are all Lionel SD80 Mac locomotives, also known as the Cadillac by the engineers. Lionel hasn't made the Conrail version since 2012. I'm surprised you haven't done a rerun yet. In the back, You'll notice that's an SD70 Mac. It says Conrail Safety. Well, that was part of the K-line Conrail Safety set, but Lionel bought K-line at the time, so Lionel actually produced that. And it came with 3 Gunderson Husky stacks. Here we have the demo SD70 Mac with the Odyssey. You'll notice it says Odyssey on there. Odyssey is your cruise control, and these were for dealers only, so not very many were made. They're made in various road names. There was so little made that the hobby shops did not know what road name they were getting until they got it. And so the only way to get this is when hobby shops sold them off. Another SD70 Mac, that's Legacy. That's from the Big Blue set. And then we have the SD40 and the SD40-2. The GP35 with the replacement shell. Next you have the U28. The Brady's Trains Custom Run SD45s. Powered and Super Bass. Lionel GP30. Lionel Lionel SD38. Those were used in the hump yards. You didn't normally see them pulling a train. They were mainly used in hump yards. Then we come over here. There's a U30C. There's the locomotive I've been looking for forever, the GP35. The GP9 and the B unit to go with it. We have the SD70 Mac and the SD50. So that brings us to the collection of Conrail Enola diesel terminal. And so yeah, this is actually Farmingdale Junction, but it also subs as Enola diesel terminal one day out of the year, every year since 2017. I've used Farmingdale Junction as Enola diesel terminal. Okay, so let's take a look at my Conrail memorabilia collection next. Alright, so here's my Conrail collection. It was an inspiration, actually. I visited the Conrail Museum in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, and yes, there is a Conrail Museum. It's a self-guided tour. If you missed that video, I put a link to it in the description of this video. But yes, there really is a Conrail Museum, and basically it just shows you memorabilia and stuff like that. It's not like you're going to go out there and see locomotives and all that fun stuff. Boy, do I wish. But anyway, so let's take a look and see what we have here. So we have the Conrail safety glasses. There you go. I got the that's a Lionel trail van truck. This is the Conrail Operation Lifesaver mug. Conrail really did have Operation Lifesaver, 1997. Here we have the Conrail Labor Management Project. There you go. This is a Conrail award. Got a little Conrail notebook there. That's the EH, or the Conrail EH Harry Memorial Award. That is from 1998. The Starlight you guys already seen. Those are the safety glasses I was wearing. This was actually a piece that was in the Conrail Railroad Museum. Then I got some more line-out trucks in the box. We have the Conrail police truck in miniature. We have real Conrail out of service tags. This is a first aid kit. Golf ball. Conrail had all kinds of stuff that you could get as a safety award. There's a 5-year safety award pin. Ornament. The Pell pin. The sapphire jewel in it. And yes, that is a real jewel. Enola diesel terminal. Bumper stickers. Conrail conductor, that's for real. Operation Lifesaver. Here's the Conrail quality book. And here's stuff you would have gotten from Conrail as a worker. More memorabilia. Here's the safety rules. Okay. Rules of transportation. Timetables. Operating manuals. Freight schedules. More timetables. Signal aspects and what they mean. Conrail was using Pennsylvania signal aspects. Manuals for accident reports. I've got some Rail Fans magazines. Conrail's last weekend. Safety. So I got a whole bunch of stuff. Right from the Conrail. When Conrail had printed up books. And then transportation guide. So this is all cool stuff that I've collected. And then over here I have the hat that I was wearing. That is real. And then I have some other hats. That one was given to me by a great guy at the York show. And then Jersey Safety District. And here is the safety vest that I was wearing. But at any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed another Dak Band Productions video. We'll catch you guys at the next train show, next club meet. We'll catch you trackside. Goodbye.